Good evening. Good evening. I just finished teaching my LA Fitness classes, Zumba and Bodyworks. I love teaching this class. It's so amazing. It just feels so good. It feels so good to be back. But also, people were like, "You seem so rejuvenated and fresh," and it's because I left the city for a few days. I left Chicago for a few days and had some time for myself, and I really want to talk about mental health for a moment, because October is Depression Awareness Month, and as someone who has clinical depression, as someone who takes medication but also does different things to take care of my mental health, I want to say it's super important to take time off of the city life, off your phone. Literally, I remember I was in Ohio and I was staying in this Airbnb, and I stayed an extra day because I was in such a peaceful house. I mean, for the first day, I was so tired. Not just because I drove straight and I had no sleep the night before and I went to a wedding and danced my ass off. I was so tired because there's stuff that happens in your life, and sometimes you need to be somewhere else to process it. And I hadn't left Chicago at that point. And I went to Puerto Rico in February, and I hadn't left the city. Not even, I went to the suburbs once or twice, or maybe a few times. I hadn't left Illinois in a while. And then before that, I hadn't left since August. And both of those times I was only gone for 2 days. So I haven't had a really big vacation in a while. So when I went to Ohio, I took some time to really rest and really sleep. And it was just nice to be out of the city, to be out of the noise and the chaos of Chicago. Chicago's a very loud city. I love Chicago. I'm not trying to knock on the city because it's the city I was raised in. I'm born in the city. I pay the taxes here. But sometimes it's nice to get outside of the chaos of Chicago. There are other cities that aren't as loud as here. And it was just so peaceful. And so after coming back from a peaceful trip, I feel more rejuvenated, and I was super hyper in my classes today. Not just because I had a Alani, I just need a few sips, but because I just needed the time off. And I think that if you don't take time for yourself, you can fall into not bad, but unhealthy practices, because we're here on this earth to experience abundance and to experience a really good life, and to really enjoy ourselves. And when you start to feel burnout or you're not taking care of your mental health, it's very hard for you to fully enjoy your experience here. And as someone who's a social worker, I don't practice social work right now, but as someone who's doing life coaching things and talking to people about their mental health, and who's worked in case management and work with people in one-on-one sessions, I really feel that when people prioritize their mental health, their whole world changes. And a lot of people feel depressed, and a lot of people have depression. And yes, I do believe that if you have depression to the point that you need a medication, yes, okay, it's okay for you to get on one. It took me a while to accept that I needed a medication, just to get my hormones balanced, my happy hormones balanced, so I don't feel super depressed or trigger warning. I don't feel like I'm going into a suicide, because I do have those thoughts when I'm not medicated. But the situational depression that a lot of people feel, because the clinical depression is when you have a diagnosis, and your situational depression is when you have scenarios in your life that make you feel the states of depression. But major depressive disorder is feeling depressed 2 weeks or more, and consistently, and going through cycles. So it's usually it's a cycle that occurs because your brain has a chemical imbalance, or something is a cloud. A depressed brain looks more cloudy than a regular brain if you look at brain scans. So anyways, people who have situational depression, and a lot of the time when things change in your life, you can go into you can say I'm feeling so depressed. And the things you need to do is really take care of your mental health. Take time away from the chaos, take time away from people that make you feel bad, take time away from people that you might have in your life that you've had for a long time that you love, but that don't understand you. You know, you're not the exact same person as another person. Like, some of us are white, some of us are black, some of us are Hispanic, some of us are Latino, some of us are Native American, some of us are, you know, from different backgrounds. So nobody can have the same experience as you. And even if you are from the same exact background, like, you're not the same person as another. So you have to remember that sometimes you need to take time from people who are not the same as you, because their experience is not going to be the same. We don't process things all the same. We don't all learn in the same ways, and we don't all struggle with the same things. Some people might be financially well, and some people might be struggling with anxiety. You know, like, there's no comparison, but you have to figure out, like, what you specifically need. And I'm just so passionate about mental health awareness, and depression specifically. And at the end of my class tonight, I always do a meditation at the end of my Bodyworks class. And I have, after we work out and we stretch, I have people do a 5-minute meditation, and they really enjoy it. And I think it's because people need time to really not think, you know, to really just relax, because we live in this chaotic world where there's so much going on. But in a spiritual sense, everything is always okay. It's just that we as humans have made this experience more difficult than it needs to be, and we need to, like, tackle our mental health. And so you look at people who are very spiritually centered, and they've learned how to deal with the chaos by staying away from it, and by tackling their mental health, by you know, taking their medication as they need to, if they need it, or just literally doing self-care methods that make them more centered and more peaceful. And sometimes that includes solitude, and sometimes that includes getting away from things. And so I talked about my trip at the beginning of this to help you to understand that though I love Chicago, and though I love living in a big city, the chaos of the city is not always healthy for the brain, because everything that we have here in the city is man-made, and we all crave nature, and we all crave peace. So for your mental health, try to find your peace of mind in the ways that you can, because if you don't find peace of mind, and you're going to think that chaos is normal in every aspect of your life, in your job, in your relationship, in your marriage, in your kids' lives, and the cycle will just continue through generations and generations. Because if you're bringing chaos and trauma in your life, it's going to go into the next generation, if you don't take control of that. And it starts with you. And even if you don't have kids, or you don't have family members or whatever, but everyone has friends and someone that they relate to. Try to have a good mental state with the people around you, and radiate positive energy to the people around you. And you radiate positive energy by being a person of light yourself. And you become a person of light by taking care of your mental health and having a mind, body, and soul conscious experience on this earth. So I really would love to in the future start a wellness center and do more wellness retreats in Chicago, and do, like, meditation classes in the future, because I just see it's a need and something that I am very passionate about, like people just taking a moment to calm their brain, because there's so much that is competing for our attention, and our mental health is sometimes takes a back burner. Because I understand why people have mental health disorders, especially the situational mental health disorders, when they don't know how to take care of themselves, because there's so much going on. There's so much. And if you've been conditioned to be a caretaker, to give and give and give, and not to receive, and not to practice self-care, then it's hard for you to find a time to send to yourself. But it's very important that you always make time for yourself. Outside of everybody else, the only person that's you come to this planet alone, you're going to leave this planet alone. You have to take care of yourself. If someone is telling you have to take care of them at the detriment of your health, you have to let them go. You know, you have to take your space away from them. And I think that doing things like fitness, eating well, having a healthy sex life, having a healthy relationship, you know, all these things contribute to your mental health. But just make sure your mind is full of positive things, and take breaks from spaces and people that don't fill you with positive energy. And if someone doesn't understand that, then it's okay. You know, like, yes, you need community, but if you need time for yourself because you're starting to break and your mental health is at jeopardy, like, you have to take time for yourself, no matter if someone's upset or they're mad at you. So you matter. Like, your mental health matters. You matter. So if no one has told you that you need to take care of yourself, I'm telling you to take care of yourself, because this life goes by like that. I mean, time is not real in the spiritual sense, but like things fly by. Like, you know, our childhood flies by. So time is precious, even though it like in the spiritual sense, it's not a real thing. But anyways, have a lovely night. I love you all. Take care of your mental health, and have a mind, body, soul experience, a positive one while on earth. Bye.